LIV Golf just keeps getting dragged as former Masters champion Adam Scott has now taken aim at it. But Scott hasn't targeted the league's format or the lawsuit controversy. He has gone straight for LIV's players. Now, obviously, it's not like no one's criticized the league's members for switching sides in the past. It's just that these days, things have sort of smoothed out a bit. Yeah, it's a little out of left field, especially from someone like Scott. I mean, remember, this is the same guy who was linked to the Rebel Tour a few months ago, so any criticism from him would hurt Greg Norman's side even more. That being said, he didn't actually criticize these golfers for taking big paychecks or selling out. Instead, he talked about the whole world ranking points issue, and for him, not having access to these rankings is just the price these guys have got to pay for their career choice. Harsh? Yes. But fair? Also yes. I mean, it's not like they were promised they'd be earning any OWGR points when they signed the contract. Okay.
One of the most fierce, competitive sides of me as a player was being
Norman may have convinced them that he's gonna figure something out. As things stand right now, however, there's not really any real prospect of them earning points. And this, of course, has made them slip down the order. In fact, speaking to the Sydney Morning Herald, Scott said that they sacrificed the ability to have ranking points for short-term gain. But if they didn't realize it while signing their contracts, then this is a reality check for them. That being said, the 2013 Masters champion wasn't only critical about LIV's golfers. In fact, what Scott did next was extremely unexpected. He criticized the OWGR for its ranking system. I know, right? The guy's playing both sides, and honestly, you've got to commend him for that. Like, imagine taking aim at LIV players for not earning OWGR points and then going for the OWGR right after that. It's like a double whammy. But what beef could someone like Adam Scott have with the rankings body? Well, for starters, he thinks they've gotta improve their system. Of course, he started it off by admitting that a world ranking system is a very, very hard thing to get right. After all, there are just way too many people competing on all sorts of different tours, so you can't really distribute these points evenly because some people just play against weaker opponents. And at that point, you're just getting into subjective territory. Still, Scott said that the system wasn't correct because for him, the weight at the top of the points was just not enough. He then explained how he only beat 4 people at the Tournament of Champions and got a bunch of points for it. Yet, when Jon Rahm beat a field of champion players on the PGA Tour, including the top 30 for the year, he didn't earn nearly as many points as he should have. This, according to Scott, is just not good enough. Like, it's understandable why you'd give fewer points for certain tournaments, but you've got to somehow factor in the field strength too. Then again, at least they are getting points, unlike LIV members. Though, there is one thing that could change the Breakaway League's fortunes: the OWGR's latest approval. Yep, despite the fact that LIV's request has been rejected over and over again, there's still hope. You see, the OWGR may be stringent with its criteria, but it's constantly evolving, and for that, we just have to look at their most recent addition, a Mexican development tour. Now granted, there's a difference between these and your average golf tour. Still, the fact that a 54-hole tournament managed to get in bodes well for LIV's chances. Not to mention, this approval took around 16 months, so who knows, maybe the Saudi League's case is in the pending pile as well. With that said, it's still gonna be super tricky. After all, the league is still lacking cuts, which is one of the main requirements for the OWGR. I mean, Scott does have a point when he says that LIV players must pay the price. They knew about the league's lack of cuts and its shorter format, so by extension, they also must have known just how drastically that reduces your chances of getting approval. Obviously, many of them have already admitted this, but we've also seen people getting frustrated over the issue. Oh, and if you didn't know, the situation is bad. So much so that a lot of LIV's top players risk dropping out of the top 50. And this, of course, would also rule them out of automatic qualification for a bunch of majors, like the Masters. However, while this issue is concerning for LIV Golf and its players, there's an even bigger one looming above them right now: the growing Saudi sports portfolio. Wait a second though, shouldn't the country's growing investment in sports be good for LIV Golf? Like, surely that would mean more money for them, right? Well, in an ideal world, yes. But the fact of the matter is, right now, LIV is being drowned out by even bigger ventures. I mean, just look at the sports media. Everyone's got their attention on Cristiano Ronaldo's big move to the Saudi Arabian League. And while that shouldn't hurt the Saudi League in theory, in reality, it does. You see, the aim here isn't to somehow revolutionize sports or make everything better. The real goal is sports washing. Just look at Newcastle's takeover, or even the Ronaldo signing. These things have massively helped Saudi Arabia's image in front of the world. LIV Golf, on the other hand, continues to drift in this limbo land where it's not popular and it's controversial. Newcastle and Ronaldo's big support and successful numbers drive popularity. The breakaway circuit, however, seems to just be damaging the Saudis' reputation. And if you thought things are going to get better with the upcoming season, think again, because LIV Golf has some serious internal issues it's got to deal with as well. Yep, it's the big executive exodus. Now, if there was any hope of the Saudi League righting its ship before the start of the next season, it went out the door with its top executives. Of course, I'm talking about the COO, Atul Khosla, and the president of franchises, Matt Goodman. Both of them were incredibly important to the league. And yet, after allegedly arguing against the governor of the Public Investment Fund, Yasir Al-Ramuyan, they were shown the door. Now, this leaves a massive gap behind, and I'm not sure Greg Norman's got it in him to fill that up. Not to mention, the league's TV deal with the CW also doesn't seem that great. Like, sure, they've got a broadcaster on board, but it's not someone you'd expect from an ambitious tour like LIV. So, things need to change, or the league could risk running into its biggest problem yet. In fact, LIV Golf could become irrelevant. Yep, amidst a growing Saudi sports washing portfolio, a failed leadership team, and other big issues, like the lack of world ranking points, the breakaway league is at a crossroads right now.
Never seen the game of golf so healthy on a global front as where it is today.
Greg Norman needs to refocus his team's attention on these core issues, or else they could even risk losing their funding. And we all know that LIV doesn't exist without all the cash. Like, it's basically a money sink at this point, and it isn't even close to being profitable. The other Saudi investments, on the other hand, are already paying dividends. That being said, this golfing venture is also perhaps the country's most ambitious project yet. After all, buying a football club or signing a player is one thing, but changing an entire sport, that's a whole other ballgame. So it's gonna be fascinating to see how LIV deals with the OWGR crisis and avoids becoming irrelevant in the Saudi portfolio. See you in the next one.